Before diving into the upcoming version 6.7 update, we have some fantastic news for players currently planning out their setups for Sandrone. Throughout the entire beta test cycle, YAE MIKO has emerged as one of the few characters to experience a continuous streak of improvements. Looking closely at the progression from V1 through V5, she avoided any significant nerfs, underwhelming adjustments, or detrimental shifts. Every modification introduced to her kit has served to amplify her power ceiling, leading the community to regard YAE MIKO as the clear standout beneficiary of the massive stellar conduct system overhaul. This development is highly significant because YAE MIKO is projected to serve as the premier sub-DPS for Sandrone teams, not just during the 6.7 update cycle, but potentially across the entire duration of the upcoming Snezhnaya patches. The underlying logic is straightforward. Stellar conduct is rapidly establishing itself as a foundational reaction system for future combat strategies, and YAE MIKO's revamped kit aligns near perfectly with its requirements. To fully understand the scope of these final adjustments, there is a critical mechanic to keep in mind. As of right now, the Radiant state can only be triggered if Sandrone is actively included in the team composition and successfully deploys her Polestar field. Consequently, some of YAE MIKO's most potent new enhancements are directly locked behind the presence of Sandrone. This mechanical interaction establishes an incredibly exclusive synergy between the two units that alternative electro characters simply cannot mirror effectively. Let us begin by analyzing her Elemental Burst, which is the exact location of one of the most impactful adjustments to her functionality. Previously, whenever YAE MIKO cast her Burst, her existing Sesho Sakura totems would be consumed entirely after deploying the Tenko Thunderbolts. That specific loop frequently made team rotations feel disjointed and inefficient, as players were forced to immediately spend time redeploying all three totems from scratch. The finalized version completely rectifies this issue. Any Sesho Sakura totem that is struck by her Elemental Burst will now transform directly into a Tenko Thunderbolt rather than being destroyed outright. This represents an immense upgrade to her damage uptime. At talent level 10, the Tenko Thunderbolt boasts a remarkable scaling multiplier of 600.9%, an exceptionally high number for an off-field damage dealer. As a result, her burst no longer breaks the flow of her off-field presence. Instead, it seamlessly upgrades her established field presence into a much harder hitting assault. This mechanical adjustment alone provides a massive boost to rotation fluidity, allowing YAE MIKO to sustain constant offensive pressure without creating downtime for the rest of the team or slowing down Sandrone. Next, looking at her first Ascension passive talent, we see further high-value enhancements. Now, whenever a Sesho Sakura participates in its standard attacking sequence, the cooldown for Yakan Evocation, Sesho Sakura, is actively refreshed. This mechanic is highly practical on its own, ensuring smooth totem relocation and agile repositioning during combat. However, the true strength lies in the secondary effect. Placing all three Sesho Sakura totems in close proximity to one another triggers a supplementary lightning strike that inflicts an additional 40% electro damage. While a 40% scaling might appear modest on paper, the context changes completely when YAE MIKO is operating within the Radiant state. Under this state, that extra strike is officially categorized as stellar conduct damage, because stellar conduct scales directly alongside attack and crit metrics. And because YAE MIKO lands off-field attacks with extreme frequency, these supplementary triggers accumulate rapidly over a standard rotation to push her overall performance far ahead of her past iterations. Her fourth Ascension passive talent delivers what is arguably her most staggering buff. To start, the base duration of the Sesho Sakura totems has been extended to 10 seconds, which vastly increases her baseline consistency by providing longer field uptime and minimizing rotation interruptions. Furthermore, if any active party member triggers either super conduct or stellar conduct nearby, the Sesho Sakura will strike for bonus damage equivalent to 80% of YAE MIKO's total attack value, occurring once every 2.5 seconds. The real power spike happens when YAE MIKO is in the Radiant state. That bonus scaling skyrockets from 80% to a massive 200% of her total attack as electro damage. For an off-field character to repeatedly access a 200% scaling bonus without demanding active field time is an unbelievable multiplier. For overall team DPS, given Sandrone's ability to trigger stellar conduct with absolute consistency, YAE MIKO can reliably abuse this effect throughout the duration of a fight, cementing her status as Sandrone's ultimate teammate. Shifting focus to her constellations. Constellation 1 has been transformed into an elite supportive asset for stellar conduct strategies. Whenever YAE MIKO unleashes her Tenko Thunderbolt, she instantly restores 8 energy per strike. While this significantly alleviates her notoriously demanding energy requirements, the standout feature is its secondary team-wide buff. Her C1 boosts the super conduct and stellar conduct damage of the entire party by a flat 50%. This is an extraordinary buff for Sandrone, whose personal damage output is heavily intertwined with stellar conduct reactions. Providing a 50% damage boost to the whole team is such a substantial power spike that players are openly debating whether pursuing YAE MIKO's C1 holds higher raw value than pulling for Sandrone's own signature weapon. Moving to Constellation 2, we find another high-tier upgrade. Upon initial placement, the Sesho Sakura totems will immediately begin attacking at level 4, guaranteeing maximum turret damage right out of the gate. Alongside the immediate damage increase comes a highly impactful Elemental Mastery buff. The active character on the field receives an Elemental Mastery bonus based on the current level of the Sesho Sakura totems, capping out at a generous 200 Elemental Mastery. This bonus is incredibly valuable for optimizing Sandrone. A common misconception within the community is that stellar conduct purely benefits from attack and crit stats. While those are undeniably the core priorities, Elemental Mastery still contributes a massive chunk of damage to the actual reaction scaling. Obtaining an effortless 200 Elemental Mastery via C2 allows Sandrone to hit significantly harder without forcing players to compromise on her artifact substats, making her overall build process much more forgiving. Constellation 4 pushes her supportive capabilities even further into the meta. Each individual hit landed by a Sesho Sakura totem grants a 20% electro damage bonus to the entire team for a duration of 5 seconds. In tandem with this team-wide offensive buff, YAE MIKO restores 8 energy every 5 seconds, effectively neutralizing her remaining energy management issues. To top it off, her elemental burst damage receives a flat 100% increase. Effectively, C4 achieves 3 major goals simultaneously, elevating team-wide damage, streamlining her own energy loops, and drastically amplifying her burst scaling, making her an incredibly well-rounded sub-DPS. Finally, Constellation 6 elevates YAE MIKO to an entirely different tier of power. With C6 active, her Seisho Sakura totems completely ignore 60% of an enemy's defense. Defense shred and ignore mechanics represent some of the most potent scaling factors in the entire game, especially when facing down high-level endgame content. In addition to the defense ignore, her personal stellar conduct crit damage is heavily amplified. This ensures that every single stellar conduct reaction she initiates deals catastrophic damage, because the prerequisite, Radiant State, is explicitly tied to having Sandrone in the party. This entire mechanical loop feels completely intentional on a design level. She is already incredibly dominant in the current beta environment, and her future outlook remains exceptionally bright. Going from V1 to V5 with nothing but pure buffs and zero mechanical regressions is a rare phenomenon for any character in testing. With her finalized kit looking this incredibly strong, what are your thoughts on her updated performance? And are you planning to prioritize her for your future Sandrone team compositions?